It's Ebro Lauren Rosenberg. We are interviewing one of the candidates today for mayor of New York City. His name, Brad Lander.
That's right.
He knows where all the money's at, by the way, and he knows who's been spending what money and ruining what money because he's been the comptroller for how long?
4 years.
4
All of Eric
years.
Adams' mayoralty. So yeah, there's been a lot of corruption to dig into, a lot of contracts to go after, a lot of scrutiny to provide.
So I want to start right there because I feel like we live in a political cycle at this juncture in history where we're watching at the federal level and obviously at our city level a lot of corruption and things that we would like to believe is not normal and okay. But we're not seeing much checks and balances take place. We're not seeing any enforcement take place. And I don't believe I'm seeing the voter angry enough about what's going on. So here comes a great candidate like yourself, who's very buttoned up, who's been in civil service for a long time, and is saying all the great things. Why would I vote for you when I see a nice guy who's all buttoned up, but these other guys who are breaking rules and breaking laws and having felonies seem to be getting all the celebration?
Look, this is what Donald Trump is doing to our country when he could take a $400 million plane from Qatar and nobody even bats an eyelid. Nobody trusts anything. I mean, you see me right now with a tie, but I spent most of the last 30 years with my sleeves rolled up. You know, before I got into city government, I worked in a couple of nonprofits out in communities, restoring affordable abandoned buildings into affordable housing, working with my neighbors to bring communities back from abandonment. That's what got me into city government. You know, I'm a Brooklyn dad. I want government to work. So served in the city council with Jumaane Williams and others fighting for a fairer city. And then I thought, we have to make this government run better. So where could I go do that? And that's what took me to the controller's office, because I wanted to see every contract. How do we give them out? Do we bid them? Do we make sure small businesses can get in? So yeah, I mean, if you're angry because government has been corrupt, because this mayor has, because Governor Andrew Cuomo was, and here, lo and behold, he's back, and you want someone who is honest and effective with a track record of public integrity, but with the courage to stand up to Trump and fight for New Yorkers, and with real proven leadership experience. That's what I'm offering.
Being close to it, what has frustrated you the most about Adams' time as mayor?
Yeah, two things. I mean, bending the knee to Donald Trump in order to cover up his own corruption is terrible. You know, he really did approve that Turkish consulate in exchange for campaign contributions and flight upgrades, and then to get out of any accountability for selling out our city's process. Now he's selling out immigrant New Yorkers and New York's ability to stand up.
Brad, I gotta also stop you. When we talk about the Eric Adams corruption piece, people also gloss over the fact that he stole money in the campaign with the money match. Why do people gloss over that? Listen, up to the average person, upgraded flights and all that. They're like, all right, he got upgraded flights and fast tracked the building. Bro,
you're right about it.
Bro got donations that were matched 8 times.
$10 million.
That's the headline, not some upgraded flights.
And the matched
you're right about that.
$10
million
taxpayers' money.
In exchange for a favor to a Turkish authoritarian government.
So, yeah, sorry, but continue on.
So that was number one. That was the first thing that bothered
number one.
Right.
Number two is setting native New Yorkers against immigrants. I mean, this city is so, 40% of New Yorkers were born somewhere outside of the United States. 50% live in mixed status households from all over the world, from Asia, from the Caribbean, from Africa, from Latin America. You know, I'm a proud Jewish New Yorker. We're a bunch of folks here who have come from all over. And for him to say the reason your housing is not affordable, or we can't give you childcare, or we're cutting the libraries and the schools is because we've got these new arrivals. And a lot of people believed that because the mayor told them that. The mayor said, look, we got these new folks coming. We have to put them in shelter. And so we're going to cut your schools and your housing's not affordable. And it's just not true. The housing wasn't affordable because we didn't build enough affordable housing and protect tenants. And the school budgets got cut because the mayor wouldn't find a way to make sure after COVID that we kept investing in them, and setting New Yorkers against each other is dangerous, and it doesn't help solve our problems.
So, Brad, on that note, where Eric Adams says, hey, we have arrivals being sent to us illegally, by the way, and we're not getting backup from the federal government. We're having arrivals being sent to us by bus from Texas or wherever these states are. They're showing up. We're a sanctuary city, and we have to, by law, figure out something to do with them. We have to give them shelter. We have to feed them. Where did the money come from to do that? And how do we find money when we need to for new arrivals? Because I understand the gripe of a person struggling in New York going, or a person who can't find affordable housing going, yo, these people just showed up and got, food and shelter, and I'm just struggling to get by. How come they can find money and I can't for what I need?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I say to that person is, look, you're right to be pissed off that the housing's not affordable and that you can't get the childcare that you need and that your city doesn't have your back. So you're right to be pissed off. Let's fix those problems. But we already weren't giving you that childcare, protecting your housing, giving you the affordable housing that you need, making your neighborhood safe before. So don't blame these new folks for problems that have been long standing. And in terms of what we should have done, those contracts went to these behemoth for-profit companies. One I got canceled was a $432 million no-bid contract to a company called DocGo that had never provided shelter services to anyone, including asylum seekers. Should have done is said, we want to make sure people get work authorization so they could get to work in this city and pay their own way here. And unfortunately, the contracts instead went to these big for-profit companies with no accountability. I got that one canceled, but a lot of others went through. And in my mind, that's what happened. Then we wound up with new problems. We got a little bit of money. One little place I'll give Eric Adams some credit is, he did push the Biden administration to send us some money. But then Elon Musk and Donald Trump came and stole $80 million of the money the federal government gave us to pay for those shelter and services. And I was the one who uncovered it and who forced the mayor to get into court to get it back. So that being compromised by Donald Trump came back to bite us even one more time, just to keep the money the federal government did give us to do something here.
One of the main things you're running on is affordable housing, right? And I feel like we hear the song over and over and very little change. I have friends right now that are considering getting a roommate for a studio because they cannot afford the rent. Right. No matter, and with multiple jobs, might I add. And I know you hear this story every day. So what is your plan? What makes you different than everybody else?
Yeah. I mean, what makes me different than everybody else in this is my track record on this work. I spent 30 years, the last 3 decades, working with my neighbors on affordable housing. It was a different problem 30 years ago. It was abandonment. When I started working in community development and affordable housing in New York City, it was people like Ibon Mohammed and Barbara Bethel and Kali Endoy, neighbors of mine, whose homes had been abandoned. The city, they were living in squalid conditions. And they said, let's get these buildings from the city or from the developers that abandoned them and fix them up. And that's what I learned how to do. I spent 15 years renovating abandoned buildings into affordable homes, building on vacant lots. I've created or preserved over 50,000 units. If you look around the Gowanus Canal, when I was in the city council, I led that rezoning, and now 8,000 homes are going up, 3,000 genuinely affordable to low-income and working-class families. And we're fixing up every one of the 1,500 public housing units nearby. So I've got a track record getting this done, finding the money, doing the financing, finding the land, building support. So I've got a plan to build 500,000 homes over the next decade by bringing New Yorkers along. And here's the most fun part of it. I was surprised to learn, and you might be too, New York City, how many golf courses do you think the city of New York owns?
Let's see, Van Cortlandt.
One? Yeah, in Cortland.
There's one in Brooklyn.
I'd say
2 in Queens. 6?
I'd say 6. Yeah, I'm around 6.
All right, and how many do you think we need?
Need?
Minimum. Yeah, need is tough.
So I'll tell you,
I don't know.
we own 12 golf courses, the city of New York. It's 2,500 acres in this land-starved city. Now, I'm good with golf. I want there to be tee times, but I'll leave 8 of those courses for golf. If we take 4 of them, we could build 50,000 affordable homes in great new neighborhoods. This is what we did at Co-op City or Penn South or Amalgamated Houses, built new neighborhoods with schools and parks and playgrounds and libraries. But also, because the city owns the land, we can make it genuinely affordable, not just to rent, but also to buy. Co-ops that working class families will be able to afford. And that's a place we can get it done because the city owns the land already.
So, well, and I love that idea because I don't think we need 12.
12's a lot.
12's a lot.
And let's be honest, serious golfers are going off somewhere else to a private club somewhere anyway. So
yeah, and they're going to Long Island or Jersey,
or Jersey,
or wherever.
Clean.
While we're talking affordable housing, it's kind of coming out now because May 31st was the deadline at the Barclays Center where there were some affordable housing units that were supposed to be built as a part of that deal. The company that was responsible for it didn't deliver and was supposed to be hit. I don't know if you guys are following this, Laura and Rosenberg in the audience. They were supposed to be hit for $2,000 a month per unit they did not build. So that money would have came back to the city and would have added to our coffers so that we could build more affordable housing because the people who were supposed to build affordable housing there, I think it's called Atlantic Yards is the official name of that section, we're going to have to pay a fine basically. Well, that fine now has been waived. So not only did they not build the affordable housing, but the city waived the fines. Brad, you sit in the comptroller's office. I'm sure your office saw this.
Yep. A year ago, I wrote a letter to the Empire State Development Corporation and said, make clear you're going to charge this fine because these folks have to know they better build that affordable housing. They better come back to you with a plan if they can't get it done on time, or you have to levy the fine. And I share your anger, like the fact that we let them waive this fine. Partly it means in the future, developers will think, oh, I can get over on the city or state. I can make promises.
That's right. So there's no checks and balance here? Just who waived it? Like who decides this? Where's this?
Yeah, so this was the Empire State Development Corporation. It's a state agency. And yeah, I mean, I think they...
so the city waived the fines towards the state is basically what happened.
In this case, the state waived the state agency, Empire State Development, waived the fine toward this developer. It was a Chinese development company that had taken over long ago. It was a company, Forest City Ratner, that made the deal. And then they sold their stake to, a big Chinese real estate investment company. And now, unfortunately, the whole deal is falling apart. I mean, there's housing there.
But they didn't finish.
We got to hold people accountable who made a lot of money, who made commitments and promises and didn't deliver the affordable housing that they promised.
And I guess what I'm pressing you on here, Brad Lander, is we as citizens, I'm not hearing from you in this moment right now who we would hold accountable. Like, who do we point the finger at? Well, we have to put names and faces on these things.
Yeah, I mean, the Empire State Development Corporation board is appointed by the governor. So this ultimately, it's an authority. It was sort of set up. It's like a Robert Moses kind of thing that maybe is meant to distract you. But the board of the Empire State Development Corporation is appointed by the governor. And
Kathy Hochul's husband's in real estate also.
A lot of folks, unfortunately, are in real estate. If you look at Andrew Cuomo's donors, most of his donors are big real estate moguls or folks like Bill Ackman trying to roll back civil rights and Trump donors. So, yes, this is what we mean by ending the era of Adams Cuomo corruption, is getting rid of people who are in bed with moneyed interests.
That's a perfect segue, Brad. Cuomo, the name jumps off the page of people. Of course, maybe they remember it because of his father, or maybe during COVID, his press conferences really grabbed a lot of people. Why would an Andrew Cuomo mayoral term be terrible for the city?
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Cuomo was handed the keys to New York, right? Took his father's name, went to be governor. didn't solve our problems. Let's take affordable housing. He made a backroom deal with Republicans to undermine rent stabilization and push people essentially out of their homes. We lost tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of rent stabilized units on his watch. Then he went out in a blaze of corruption and abuse, sexual harassment of 13 women, thousands of seniors to their deaths in nursing homes. And then he lied. He lied to Congress about it. But to me, it's worse that he lied to their families about it. He resigns in disgrace just a few minutes ahead of impeachment. But he hasn't learned one damn thing. Now he's saying he wouldn't have resigned. He admitted at the time he had done some things wrong. Now he says, oh, I didn't even do anything wrong. He was a corrupt governor. He is running a corrupt campaign with improper coordination between that billionaire-funded super PAC and his own campaign. He's been fined, I think, over $1 million by the Campaign Finance Board right now. Was a corrupt governor, is running a corrupt campaign, would be a corrupt and abusive mayor. He has learned nothing, and he does not deserve New Yorkers' trust.
I think, as Rosenberg put, his name jumps off the page. He gets that kind of top of mind awareness. You, Brad Lander, I would ask, one of the main things I see mayors run into here in New York City is dealing with the police and the police union and accountability. And anybody that puts up that they want to hold police accountable or, give power to the CCRB is fast-tracked in some way to create a negative narrative, and it's tough for them to win elections when you don't have the backing of the police. But for the communities that we speak to all the time, making sure someone is willing to keep these police in check for their abuses is important. We had a police chief resign. The first woman police chief resigned because Adams and his regime didn't want to hold police accountable.
Yep.
How are you going to balance leading the police, because the mayor of the city leads the police, and also holding them accountable?
First, I have a track record here. When I was in the city council, I teamed up with Jumaane Williams, and we passed the Community Safety Act at the height of discriminatory stop and frisk. We created the Office of the NYPD Inspector General. We put in place the strongest law against discriminatory policing. Stop and frisk came down, and crime came down at the same time in the following years. You can have accountability and fairness and safety. And that's what I'm going to insist on as mayor. I have said I would like to keep Jesse Tisch on as police commissioner. I agree with you, Mayor had a good commissioner the first time in Keyshawn Sewell. She left because he would not let her hold people accountable in the top brass. Since Tisch has been police commissioner, crime is coming down every month. Last month was the first time ever that the NYPD did not dismiss any of the Civilian Complaint Review Board disciplinary recommendations. So she's showing you can have safety and accountability. It's critical. It's what New Yorkers expect, and it's what I'll insist on as mayor.
Brad Lander, you can look up all of his points here at landerfornyc.com. One of your points on a safer New York is ending retail theft. I would like to hear how you plan to do that, because a lot of this retail theft, from what I've read anyway, is either homeless people, mental health patients, or teenage mischief stuff. So how do you plan to end it?
A lot of folks with substance abuse as well. And my plan actually involves connections to substance abuse courts and mental health courts. First step is right now, basically a lot of stores just don't even report at all, because what they're told to do is call 911, and then they're competing with a shooting. It takes a long time for folks to come. So I want to enable retail stores to have essentially a panic button at the register. When they see it, they hit that button. That lets the precinct know. It marks the spot on the cameras. So it's possible to conduct an investigation. But you're right. When it is someone who has committed that retail theft, who's got a substance abuse problem, let's use the drug treatment courts. If it's someone with a mental health issue, you use the mental health courts, and those courts say, okay, here is a drug treatment program or a mental health program. If you participate in that program, then we will suspend your sentence. The goal is to help get people rehabilitated and not committing the theft. But you can't just let it go on and on and on. You're not helping that person who continues to spiral. And yeah, people are tired of the toothpaste being behind lock and key all the time. So I do think this gets back to we can have both accountability and safety. I'm a big believer in community violence interruption, in those drug treatment courts and mental health courts, in connecting people. My number one commitment in this campaign is to end street homelessness for people with serious mental illness. And no amount of policing will do that. You have to connect them to housing and support services. So I've laid out a plan. It's called Housing First. It's working in Denver and Houston and Salt Lake City, keeping people stably housed 70 to 90% of the time. We used it to end street homelessness for veterans here in New York City 15 years ago. We can end street homelessness for folks with mental illness now.
The last piece I think I have before we finish with you today around that homelessness issue is we continue to hear, you brought up affordable housing before, but also, where is the housing going to be located for the mental health patients and the substance abuse folks? Because boroughs and neighborhoods haven't wanted to participate in creating space for this. So how are you going to create space for this?
Yeah. So I started by telling you that I've had this whole 15-year career before government building affordable housing in my own neighborhood. And I'm happy to tell you a lot of it is supportive housing for people with mental illness and substance abuse. When you address everybody's needs, when you show people how their kids will be able to buy a home, when you actually fix up the public housing nearby, so people feel like I see what's in it for me and my family, you can include supportive housing in the broader plan. And that's what I know how to do. So in those 500,000 units, we will include supportive housing. But in terms of the immediate issue, we're talking about around 2,000 people in New York who are living on the streets and have serious mental illness. Today, there's 2,500 vacant units of supportive housing in New York City that under Eric Adams' policies, they're not eligible for because he uses these homeless sweeps. He wants people to go into shelter. We could offer those 2,000 people access to these 2,500 units we already have. Help them get off the streets and into stable housing with services.
Why are they not being used? I don't understand.
Right now, you have to go to shelter. So what an outreach worker says is, we have a shelter bed for you. And a lot of folks have had bad experience in shelter, and they say, I'd rather just stay here on the street. And that's what happens. Sometimes they get arrested or go to a hospital, but then they come right back out. This other model called Housing at First places them directly from the subway or the sidewalk into that supportive housing unit with services. It works in other cities 70, 80, 90% of the time. It'll work here too.
Got it. Brad Lander, thank you for coming on the program, sir.
Thank you,
An honor to be on with you, really.
Listen, I got to say, as far, the tough thing about a politician like you is you're really good and you're really thorough and you're a nice person. And you're actually one of my favorite types of politicians because I feel like, you know what? He's laying it out. It's pretty clear. And I'll say it again, like I said when we started the conversation. I feel like we're in a cycle right now where people have expectations. It's kind of like animated reality TV show, cult of personality nonsense.
People who will say anything.
Do anything, shock value. And I'm like, I don't want my politician to be entertaining at all. I want zero entertainment. I want
information.
I want answers and information.
And solutions. Yes.
I love it. I'm looking to be a good manager who loves New York City, who shares our values. I take on tough fights. I fought Musk and Trump when they stole that 80 million. I help integrate the middle schools of my district. I take on tough fights. But yes, I'm no drama. I know how to make government run better and deliver on those values New Yorkers love and that we can have in the future.
Listen, you're one of the great candidates out there that we have because there are several. So people will get to hopefully rank your name. What's the actual date, Laura? I always forget the date.
Oh,
I bet Brad knows.
Brad, what's the date?
What's the date,
June
Brad?
24th is 3 weeks from today.
Yes.
Go out and vote. Early voting starts a week from Saturday on June 14th. We got 10 days of early voting, and then the election is June 24th. 3 weeks from today, everyone should go out to vote. Fill up your whole ballot. Don't rank Andrew Cuomo. If what you want are progressive values and the leadership experience to deliver on promises, then put Brad Lander up at the top of your ballot.
And by the way,
Right.
if someone goes out there and goes, I only like Brad Lander, I don't remember anyone else, they can just go Brad Lander if they want to, right?
It's fine. You're allowed to just rank one candidate, but I would encourage people to rank me first and then rank other candidates. Fill up your ballot with candidates who are not Andrew Cuomo, because
I
and
agree with you on that.
And for everybody listening, go to vote.org or do a quick Google search. You just make sure that you're registered and you're good to go. You know where to go vote.